In 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, Dorit here, and I have Chris, and we're going to be discussing how Chris is launching his six-figure career in tech by landing a nonprofit tech consulting internship in just 30 days. So Chris, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Hi.
Hi. Could you please briefly introduce yourself and kind of what you taught and what you're doing now?
Sure. So I went to school to become a teacher, and I started working as a high school math teacher for the last 4 years. And really, in those last, I've been really considering, is this really what I want to do? And I was considering a career change during those last couple of years. And with COVID happening right now, I took a leave of absence, and I'm just sort of trying to kind of refigure my life out a little bit and kind of, make a change. So I'm doing some freelance tutoring, and I'm kind of working on myself a little bit to, switch careers and try and get into tech.
Sweet. So you've been teaching math for 4 years. What subjects did you teach?
All the core subjects: algebra 1, algebra 2, geometry, statistics, and then tutoring pretty much all high school math subjects, including calculus.
Mm-hmm. Wow, some pretty advanced concepts there. Did you know in college that you were going to be a math teacher right out of school?
No, not at all, actually. I switched my major maybe 3 or 4 times. Initially, I was undecided, and then I tried accounting, and then computer science, then math, and then math education is where I landed. I consider myself a people person. I love working with people. I love solving problems, math or personal, you name it. I just really like working with people. So I decided to get into education for that reason.
Mm-hmm. And was it what you expected?
No, not really. Not at all. I kind of came in thinking like, I can change the world and all that. And, it's not as realistic as I envisioned. And then there's sort of like, a lot of other things going on. And it's just really tough work, physically and mentally, very demanding. And I was really looking to challenge myself, sort of increase my ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Like your financial ceiling, your professional skill ceiling, are those the kind of things you're referring to?
I think so, financially and professionally. I could be a teacher for 20, 30 years and memorize the whole textbook and spit it out. But for me, I don't think that was really challenging. I want to learn more skills, and I've always, been very tech savvy, love playing with computers, phones, different softwares, and all that, love exploring.
Nice.
And so I sort of saw, myself as a jack of all trades. I don't really think I could be a teacher for the rest of my life. So I sort of saw it right after college. I can do this for that was my plan initially. And I'm excited. I love teaching. I love kids, but I knew there was going to be a time to move on. And I thought it would be, short lived.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that was kind of your idea all along. So, and then with COVID, that kind of precipitated your urgency around making some kind of move.
I think so. Yeah. I saw it as a great opportunity to sort of reevaluate my skills and my whole entire life, So I decided to do a lot of freelance tutoring. I thought there'd be a need specifically in math, and that I would be able to sustain myself financially and sort of, study and work on other skills.
Mm-hmm. And has that been working? Do you have a math clientele?
Oh, yeah, it's been very sustainable. A lot of kids need a lot of help academically, even so much socially and mentally. A lot of kids are behind the screen all day long, and I do a lot of it in person, following COVID guidelines. So, yeah, there's been a huge demand of that in my town.
Mm-hmm. So why not continue with that instead of trying to make this switch into tech?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I've always been hustling. I've always have a lot of side jobs, teaching, coaching, tutoring. I sometimes find myself working long hours, 10, 12 hours, and I sort of want to refocus all my energy and just sort of have one main hustle right now.
Right.
And instead of, working 35 different jobs right now.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I've in my life done that kind of thing too. It's kind of fun and exciting, and what one would want it to be for all those hours. but good for you. Just you're making it work, doing a lot of different things, and I totally get that you want to kind of streamline your energy and your efforts and your focus, and move that more into one thing for your next phase. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's my goal, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Cool. So thank you for sharing that. That is it's interesting to hear, obviously, about teachers transitioning out and during COVID and what that looks like. So any other kind of challenges or frustrations with teaching that you'd like to mention in terms of precipitating this move out now?
Yeah, there are a couple of challenges. The biggest thing is you're just very dependent on student performance, and there's so much that you can really control in a classroom and as a coach, but really comes down to, can they perform? Can they really do it? Can they execute on a test? And sometimes it can be really frustrating. I worked in a lot of urban districts, and the scores are not, what I really liked. And I feel like sometimes as a teacher, we don't get as much support and resources that we should be getting to, support our students. So it's just kind of frustrating, working somewhere where you're not getting all the support that you need. And, that's really taxing mentally and emotionally as a teacher.
Right, 100%. Okay, so had you, prior to us connecting, had you taken any steps on your own to try to move into tech?
I'm not sure tech really, but I tried studying, I was trying to become an actuary, and it's, a pretty intense set of exams, and it was just really hard, doing that on your own. And for me, I come from an athletic background, and I do really well with coaches. I love being coached. I love receiving feedback and working with that. So it's just really hard to, build that self-discipline. So I was really looking for someone to sort of, help and guide me through a different process. But yeah, I've studied accounting, and just all that stuff was just too boring. I love math, but
Right.
accounting, becoming an actuary, it's nice, but yeah, very boring. And I was looking for something a little bit more engaging. I love computers, so I thought this was a really good opportunity for that.
Awesome. That's interesting. I didn't know that, actually. I just learned something about you.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been trying to dabble things here and there, and even thought about going to nursing school and things like that. But with COVID, I didn't want to become a nurse, so or go back to school. Really, going back to school is just so dreadful for me. So I think it's a little bit better to just work on other skills, really, and not just learning out of a textbook and a book.
So interesting. Yeah, you could obviously do well at any of those things. It's kind of the question is, what do you want? Where do do you want to go back to school or not? Do you want to be working in healthcare or not? Sort of answering those questions, I'm guessing, has helped you to kind of arrive at where you are right now.
Yes, through trial and error, pretty much.
Exactly. I know trial and error as well. I think we all do. So did you ever have and you've sort of called yourself a jack of all trades, did you ever have a dream scenario in mind, or were you just waiting? Did you ever have a dream scenario of what was next in mind?
No, never. I've never had that. Even if you asked me as a little kid, I've never knew what I really wanted to do. I sort of just kind of go with the flow, see how I feel. And to be honest, I've never really wanted to do just one thing the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I kind of see myself working in a lot of different industries. So that was really my mindset, before college, during college, that I feel like I can kind of adapt, very dynamic. I can kind of change. I feel like I can learn a lot of different skills and, be efficient with that. So no, there's no really end. It's really a journey. This is the next step that I want to take, and I'm kind of excited for that, because I really don't know what to expect really, or what's going to happen, or what the end result is. But it's a journey for me. So I'm excited, really excited.
Awesome. That's all great to hear. So how did we first connect? Do you remember?
Yes, I don't know. I think I was just looking on forums, on Google, Facebook, just, teachers crying for help, basically,
Right.
how they can transition. And I think I saw your name on a Facebook post, and then I immediately, was checking you out and trying to see, what does she offer? What does she do exactly? And I heard some good reviews and immediately wanted to find more information.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. I remember we spoke first in the summer,
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
Speaking a little, we were speaking on off, and then we started to work together. So since we've started to work together, obviously we've done a lot of work together and individually in our coaching sessions. So can you share a little bit with our listeners about, maybe just one or two things that you've been doing, that we've been doing together?
Yeah, you've recommended a lot of different trails to follow and practice, and that's going to be working on a lot of different, tasks and skills that you'd be learning with Salesforce. So that's been, have a specific trail to follow
Mhm.
for becoming an administrator, more junior administrator. And yeah, secondly, trying to build yourself up by connecting with other people on LinkedIn, strategies for that, and then how to sort of, present yourself in a more effective way to possible employers. And what I really like is the coaching aspect of going through coffee chats, what questions to ask, to expect. You're not going to get a job right away, but it's really important to kind of learn with every coffee chat, learn from all these people who are already in the ecosystem. So yeah, I really appreciate that part of all the coaching.
Cool. Yeah. So we do a lot of things. The coffee chats, I call them coffee chats. It's networking conversations, and that's a big part of what we do in terms of trying to enter, as you say, into the Salesforce ecosystem. So Salesforce being the tech software that we're using to launch our six-figure career in tech. So you had a win recently, actually, just 30 days into our time working together. You had a big win. So can you share a little bit about that? What
Yeah,
happened?
sure. So once Dre and I started working, and trying to learn about what Salesforce is, what they do, what kind of companies they work with, I was really excited and I was sharing, on that information with a lot of friends and family. And one of my family members, was telling me, oh yeah, you should really try that. And he started talking to some of his buddies and connected me with one of his colleagues, and he immediately, sort of wanted to work with me and do a little bit of coaching himself. So he was able to connect me with one of his friends who runs a nonprofit, and we were just doing, a couple of small tasks for them. But yeah, he was able to get me on board, and we're using Salesforce pretty much, and we're doing a lot of data loader things pretty much, yeah. So we're using that as my first time, and I was pretty excited about it to sort of actually use it for, a real company.
Right, versus just doing these training modules that you referenced earlier, the trailhead modules.
It's real, real world experience, and I was really excited to kind of get that, and it kind of happened really, really fast. So, I was shocked and really happy.
So, yeah, what part about it shocked you the most?
Just how fast this was happening, I think I've been told by Dorit, maybe my brother and other people, that tech moves very quickly, very rapidly. And, for me, when things move fast in education, if there's going to be a huge change, I might see it next year, if that. So that
Totally.
was just the funny part, I'm like, oh, okay, like, sure, like this will happen, next year, possibly. And yeah, it was within 30 days, you talk to these people, they want to get the ball moving right away, start working.
Right.
And I was really excited to see and hear that, but it was very different for me, I was kind of expecting a phone call next month, maybe even that, who knows?
And I remember after you had that phone call, you guys actually started to working together quite quickly after that. Wasn't there a call with the executive director of the nonprofit and your fellow Salesforce administrator to kind of meet and greet and talk about?
Yeah, so I met with him on a Friday, and then we had scheduled a meeting for the following Tuesday or Wednesday, and then yeah, sort of just kind of took off from there. And so we're connected now. He's been very, very helpful, and guiding me through this process as well.
Yeah, it's great to have a mentor, multiple mentors. That's great too. Had you actually ever heard of Salesforce before you and I spoke?
No, not at all. So I looked it up and then I was like, oh, okay, they actually mean business. So then I talked to my brother. I was like, you've heard of this whole Salesforce, thing? He's like, yeah, my company uses it every single day. Like I use it.
Right.
It's a huge company, huge software that people are using.
Yeah, it's funny because it really is, in terms of the company's size, it really is on the par with like an Amazon or a Google. It's just that it doesn't have the name brand recognition, say, amongst the non-sales population. Um, that say, Amazon and Google obviously have huge name brand recognition. Um, so it's good. You did your homework. You of course check me out, check the company out, talk to your family. You did all the right things. Um, so in terms of like learning about a nonprofit and sort of have you learned anything about the workings of a nonprofit in your time working on their data and importing their data?
What do you mean, like how they function or what they do?
Their challenges or
Oh,
goals?
um, I'm not sure exactly because I feel like right now I've been looking at a little bit of their finances, how much money is really coming in from donors, and I'm not sure exactly how that money, gets dispersed or where it goes or what resources, but there's definitely a lot of working pieces, with their nonprofit. So yeah, not sure exactly, but I definitely have helped them collect donations.
Right. So
And
that
then we
it.
just have to sort of track them and, then they're going to disperse it.
Hmm. So you have to make sure like the data is clean. You're not adding redundant data or duplicates or anything into the system. Is that part of what you're doing?
Oh, right. Yeah. So then we're checking contacts because you have to track where the donations come from. And then you have to make sure that there aren't any duplicates or update any new contacts. So yeah, we were doing a little bit of that, which I saw in the beginning of the module. So it was actually really nice to see that because it was sort of like really basic stuff. But, you kind of do that as regular practice pretty much.
Right. Absolutely. And what industry is the nonprofit in? You don't have to share the name at all, but like what industry is it in?
It's in education, so I
Yeah.
sort of was really very excited and eager to work with them because it's right, right down my lane, and a lot of educators work for them. So
Mm.
yeah, they basically, help kids out.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, like a six-figure move into tech doesn't mean one has to necessarily move away from education. They could do it. They could work in a nonprofit. Like, there's a lot of opportunities with the software to work in different kinds of industries and sectors in the economy. Um,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. So that's great that happened and that happened so quickly. And I also like that you just kind of went with the flow of it, and just kind of you went with the energy and you were open and it's happening as we speak. So are you meeting? How often do you meet with them, or how many hours a month are you putting into this project?
Yeah. Right now, that's the only task that we've been assigned is those donations, but then we need to work on finding, I guess, more ways to collect more money from other sources because the donations have been very consistent from the same people. So we're trying to explore and I guess contact other schools and universities to see if they can help the nonprofit out. So we have to use, I guess, create like a template email and automation and try and generate a lot of messages to different schools to see, if they can help us out. So that's the next part, trying to increase donations, the amount, so they can do more with that. And so that's their major goal for next year.
Right. Have they seen the decreases due to COVID?
I guess maybe a little bit. They just kind of weren't as comfortable, asking for money during this time because people kind of need that more. But they're thinking, 2021 will be, a different climate, and hopefully one where they can, work a little bit harder than they could have in 2020 for that reason.
Maybe make up for some lost.
Correct.
Yeah. So exciting to be a part of that and having conversations with kind of people running the nonprofit and people doing important technical work and all of that. So how are you feeling about it?
Well, really good in general, but yeah, a lot to learn. There's definitely a learning curve, so I
Yeah.
think I'll get there eventually and become more comfortable and more fluid with all task that I'm being given. But yeah, I mean, as an educator, we all know this. We're all lifelong learners, and with Salesforce, that's really pretty much what they've been, pushing. You're not going to learn every single thing, and I think you said, it might take, 5 or 10 lifetimes to sort of learn through everything on Salesforce. So I think that's pretty cool. You're not going to learn everything, and there's so much that you can do with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why there are jobs open. A lot of companies could use people that are proficient in those skills.
Mm-hmm. And will keep learning those skills, right? As Salesforce produces more products that people need to learn, or more things.
It's going to continue to grow, and there's going to be more and more new things to learn. Right. So, pretty inspiring, to be honest.
What was that?
It's very inspiring,
Inspiring. So would you say someone has to be like a lifelong learner to sign up or to kind of move into this Salesforce ecosystem world?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's really important. Even if you weren't, in Salesforce education, that's just for personal growth. You should always be trying to challenge yourself and learn new skills, whether, professionally or personally. So that's what I really like about it.
Yeah. What would be a win for you in the next 30 days in terms of this tech internship work that you're doing?
I think, I don't know, to be honest. I think maybe trying to perform more tasks. Right now, I'm kind of learning to become an administrator, and who I'm working with, he's specifically works with sales operations. So a huge win would be to sort of learn a couple of sales operation tasks, I guess. So that'd be pretty cool, sort of kind of doing two things, learning two different jobs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. So you're talking the system administrators work as well as the sales operations work.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Right. Yeah, so you're getting exposure quickly to new things that are in demand. There are roles that need to be filled in these roles. Like these are jobs that are happening and that aren't going away. So
Correct.
That is exciting. Okay. So did you ever imagine before we started working together that this would be happening so quickly? I mean, or that you'd be working with a nonprofit? Did you imagine any of this?
No, I didn't imagine any of it. I thought I'd just be, working along these trails and then something will happen, but I wasn't sure when or how soon. So the fact that it did happen so soon, was a huge win for me. It got me really excited and really pumped, so just have to continue working on those trails and continue, networking and seeing, what's out there.
Awesome. Yeah, got it. Okay. So thank you for sharing all of this. So a few more questions for you. So since working with us, like what areas of your professional and or personal lives have improved and by how much?
Professionally, yes, a lot of the different trails and skills and being exposed to all the concepts on Salesforce was a big win for me. So I love learning about all that kind of stuff. It really excites me. It's very challenging, and there's just so much you can really do with it. I'm sort of just at the tip of the iceberg, I guess, right now.
Right.
So that's very nice professionally. I feel like I was sort of stuck. There wasn't too much I can do teaching math. Like I said, there's only so many concepts and that you have to teach. And personally, yeah, I feel a lot better, about myself. I feel like there's so much more out there. And I knew there really was so much out there, but I just sort of felt stuck. So it's just really nice to get this kind of help and understand there's a lot more, there outside the classroom than I had imagined, really.
Yeah. Was it helpful when we spoke, that I said, this is a role we're working towards? Was it helpful to have that decision kind of made for you?
I thought so, yeah. I think so. As a teacher, everything needs to be very specific, to a T. So I really like how specific it was. Mm-hmm. And once you said that, I said, yeah, sure. I think that would fit with me,
Mm-hmm. What kind of qualities do you think someone needs to succeed in this new? Like, do they need to be a high school math teacher? Could other subject teachers succeed here?
I think so. I think really you just have to be tech savvy and comfortable with computers. And, for a lot of young people coming out of school, you pretty much are, native with technology. So
Yeah.
I think, whether you come from math or science isn't that much of an indicator, really. It's really, do you know how to use a computer?
Hmm.
And are you interested? Some people obviously aren't, so that I don't think it would be the best line of work for them. But as educators, we're constantly behind a computer, even now with, on Zoom calls or Hangouts. We have to be proficient in using that already, so that could translate into it. It's just kind of figuring out where to click and like what are you doing. It's the same idea, I
Hmm.
guess.
So learnable. So
I
definitely.
think it's very learnable. Yes, very
Yeah.
learnable.
Awesome. Um, so why did you decide to work with us?
With you specifically,
Yes.
I saw the headline. I saw, make six figures, transition into tech. And for me, I want to transition. It wasn't really the number amount, but I want to transition into tech and, get away from education, get away from healthcare, hospitality, just working with people in general. And that was, really attractive to me, and I thought I could do that. So immediately started talking to you, kind of wanted to see what this was all about, and I thought, we would have, a good relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And what kicked you over the fence? What made you finally say yes? I'm going to do this. I'm going to commit to this.
Uh, I mean, I've just been thinking about it for the last couple of years, so I was just looking for someone to push me, and be very specific on what I had to do, what tasks that I had to complete. And I sort of saw that vision with you, and I thought it was aligned with mine. So I thought that you would be a great coach for me, and I work well with coaches, so I thought that we work well together.
Right. You're a teacher. You're an athletic coach. You've had some, cool successes as an athletic coach. So that makes sense. So it's good to have maybe like a coaching, a coaching mindset or a learning mindset, a growth mindset.
Yeah, growth mindset, just be very open, to learn new things. And for me, honestly, I always think about what's the worst thing that can happen, and it just doesn't work out. And for me, that's okay, but you have to try, and that's really important for me. So I'm here trying to learn something new, and that, I don't know if it's going to work out. I might fail, but I'm okay with that. But I think it's, really important to at least make a good effort in trying to transition out of there. I feel like a lot of people, me in particular, I tried to transition plenty of times while teaching, and it didn't work out. So this is not my first time trying to transition.
Right. You've mentioned some of the other paths you were pursuing or thinking about.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Would you recommend that others work with us?
100%, because like I said, as a teacher, for teachers, we really bank on being very specific. We're hard on our supervisors, hard on students, to read everything, follow directions, be very specific on your directions and all that. So I was kind of worried that things would be kind of too vague, and it's not. It's been very specific, very like, great feedback. And yeah, I love working with you, and I highly recommend. I've been telling, a couple of my colleagues about you.
Thank you. Very mutual. I'm glad to hear that. And who do you think we're a good fit for?
Um,
Like, what kind of teacher would you say would most uh, do well in this program or in
like
this?
what subject they teach or what kind of personality.
It could be subject, or it could be like how long they've been a teacher, or it could be a certain attitude.
I think it's really just young teachers, you hear there's like really two types of teachers that like to complain about work. Everyone complains about work, but there's teachers who just like to complain just to complain, and there's teachers that complain but they want to really do something about it. So it's really for those teachers that sort of like, that feel kind of bored with their work, and they want to challenge themselves. And some people are okay being comfortable, so those are not really the teachers that I think would, work well. But it's really the teachers that, are bored and they want to, try something new and work on themselves, really.
Cool. Love it. Okay. And why should someone listening take action right now?
Um, I don't know. For me, there's always going to be schools. There's always going to be need for teachers to work. So I think really for yourself, you can find a job really anywhere, any district, and there's a lot of schools out there. So I think the worst thing that happens is it doesn't work out. But for me, there's so much upside, there's so much potential for people who try to transition out of there. So it's definitely worth a shot. So you should definitely try it.
Mm-hmm. And why now, say, versus in a year from now?
Definitely now. Right now with COVID-19 going on, everything is remote. Some teachers I know have a little bit more time that they can kind of spend working on themselves, so and study or learn some new skills. And secondly, technology is what's been kind of holding the world together since COVID's happening, and technology is really going to be continuing to drive our world further into advancement. So we're very dependent on it, and we have to be able to adapt and change with it. And there's just so much upside financially with that. So I think it's a huge opportunity for everyone to try and take on.
Right. Great. Thank you so much. And what is your number one piece of advice, let's say, for teachers who want to leave teaching?
For teachers that want to leave teaching, stop complaining and do something about it, really, because I love to hear complaints. I really do. And I'm here to sympathize with all teachers who do complain, but it gets old very quickly. And if you're not doing anything about it, then you're just going to continue to complain. And it's just frustrating. And I hate to see, people, live with that. Some days were tough for me, waking up and going to work and things like that. It was kind of bad some days. I love kids, don't get me wrong, but at the end, I didn't think that I could do it for a long time.
Yeah.
I definitely see myself excited. I love the summers off. I'm ready to start again in the fall, but it's a wild ride. It's a marathon, and it puts your body through a lot, mentally, physically, emotionally, and I think it's worth a shot to try and change and see if you like it. So for all teachers that are very open-minded, that can change, that love computers, it's definitely worth a huge shot. So I highly recommend it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if people want to find out more about you online, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And yeah, all my other social medias, sort of like in the dark a little bit, but yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. Happy to add you on that and connect.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So this has been great. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your experience. And I'm so excited to continue working with you and see, what happens next. And obviously, we're working to get you that first full-time paying role so you can kind of siphon out all the different pieces of what you're doing and then focus on one thing. So excited to keep working with you. Thank you for sharing. And thanks to everyone who is listening. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.